Have you ever felt a deep sense of exhaustion? Not from physical activity, but from the constant demands of others. Perhaps you've given and given, only to feel quietly drained, your peace slipping away, while those you've helped seem to flourish. Or, at least, remain oblivious to your sacrifice. It's a painful reality many of us face, especially as we enter our golden years. We've lived full lives, gathered wisdom, and often have a deep desire to help those around us. But what if that very generosity, that inherent kindness, becomes a silent threat to the very quality of life we've worked so hard to achieve? What if helping certain types of people, particularly after the age of 60, inadvertently sets you on a path where your time, energy, and even your financial security are slowly eroded? It's not about becoming cold or selfish. It's about becoming wise stewards of your most precious remaining resources. In this video, we're going to uncover 7 specific types of people you need to be very cautious about helping, or they will quietly, almost imperceptibly, ruin your life, leaving you feeling depleted and resentful. Watch to the end for something that will surprise you. Let's dive right into the first type of individual you need to be cautious about engaging with after 60. The chronic complainer and perpetual victim. Now, we all have moments when we need to vent, when life feels overwhelming, and a listening ear is a true comfort. But this isn't about those temporary struggles. This type of person lives in a constant state of grievance. Every conversation is a litany of their problems, often without any personal responsibility for their circumstances. The world, in their eyes, is always conspiring against them. You might receive phone calls that stretch into hours, filled with dramatic recounting of minor setbacks or the latest perceived injustice. They'll tell you how unfair everything is, how difficult their life is, how others have wronged them, and how nothing ever goes right. You, in your good nature, will listen, offer empathy, suggest solutions, or even try to intercede on their behalf. You might find yourself saying, "Have you tried this?" Or, "Maybe if you did that," only to be met with a dismissive sigh or a list of reasons why your suggestion won't work, why it's someone else's fault, or why they're just too helpless. The truth is, they aren't looking for solutions. They're looking for an audience, an emotional receptacle for their negativity. And the more you try to help by listening endlessly or trying to fix their unfixable problems, the more you become an emotional sponge, absorbing their perpetual gloom. You'll hang up the phone or walk away from the conversation feeling utterly drained, your own spirits dampened, and your precious time having vanished without any positive outcome. The actionable step here is to set boundaries with kindness when they start their familiar monologue. You can gently interject, "I'm so sorry you're going through that. What steps are you planning to take to address it?" Or, "I really hope things improve for you, but I only have a few minutes right now." If they persist, you can simply say, "I understand it's tough, but I'm not able to offer advice on this right now. I hope you find a way forward." The key is to detach from their drama and refuse to be their sole source of validation or problem solving. Your peace and energy are far too valuable to be consistently sacrificed on the altar of someone else's unending woes. Now, understanding that first type helps us guard our peace and our energy. But there's another kind of drain that can be far more insidious, affecting not just your emotional well-being but your financial security, the financial leech. This is often someone, perhaps even a family member or a longtime acquaintance, who views you as an endless source of funds. They might not explicitly ask for money every time you speak, but there's a pattern of emergencies, investments, or temporary loans that inevitably come your way. These requests often carry an emotional undertone, a story of desperation, or a promise of quick repayment that never materializes. You might find yourself being asked for rent money, a down payment on a car, funds for a medical emergency that seems to stretch on indefinitely, or capital for a can't-fail business venture that, predictably, fails. The initial requests might be small, testing the waters, but they often escalate. They know you have a nest egg, or a pension, or simply a kind heart, and they're not shy about exploiting it. You might feel immense pressure to help, perhaps out of a sense of obligation, love, or even guilt, especially if it's family. You think, how can I say no when they're in such dire straits? But the painful truth is, helping this type of person often enables a cycle of dependency. They never learn to manage their own finances, never take responsibility for their own stability, because they know you'll always be their safety net. Each loan you give them isn't just money. It's a piece of your financial future, a slice of the retirement comfort you've worked decades to achieve. The actionable steps here are firm and require courage. It's about establishing clear financial boundaries and sticking to them. You might have to say, I'm not able to help financially with that. Or, my retirement funds are set aside for my own security, and I can't risk them. If you feel compelled to help in some way, offer alternatives that don't involve your money, like connecting them with financial counselors, job resources, or social services. Remember, saying no to a financial request is not a sign of a lack of love. It's a sign of responsible self-preservation. Your peace of mind and financial security in your later years are paramount, and sacrificing them for someone who consistently takes advantage will quietly, but surely, ruin your carefully built foundation. Understanding these two types helps us guard our peace and our pockets. But there are others who can be just as draining in different ways, affecting your emotional and relational well-being. Now, let's look at a different kind of drain that seeps into your emotional well-being and can leave you feeling utterly depleted, the energy vampire and gossip monger. This individual might not ask for money or complain about their life, but they feed on drama, negativity, and the misfortunes of others. Their conversations are often filled with gossip, critical remarks about mutual acquaintances, or a recounting of the latest conflict they've either witnessed or, more often, instigated. You might find yourself spending precious time listening to them dissecting someone else's flaws, or recounting a heated argument they had, often painting themselves as the innocent party. The insidious part is that they might present this as sharing news, or just telling you what happened. But the underlying current is always negative. After talking to them, you don't feel uplifted or informed. You feel heavy, anxious, and perhaps even a little complicit in their negativity. Your energy is sapped, and you might even find yourself feeling cynical or distrustful of others, simply because you've been immersed in their world of negativity and judgment. This type of person thrives on bringing others down, or at least on highlighting the flaws and failures of the world around them. They seek to connect through shared negativity, and if you continually engage, you become a participant in their toxic dance. The actionable steps here involve protecting your emotional space with utmost care. When the conversation veers into gossip or excessive negativity, politely change the subject. You might say, "Oh, that reminds me of something positive I heard today." Or, "I prefer not to discuss other people's private matters." If they persist, you can create distance by saying, "I'm afraid I have to go now," or by limiting the frequency and duration of your interactions. Remember, you have the right to curate your emotional environment, and you don't owe anyone your precious time as a dumping ground for their negativity. Your peace of mind is too valuable to be contaminated by constant exposure to others' bitterness or judgmental attitudes. Next, we encounter a type of person whose actions chip away at your sense of worth and generosity. The unappreciative and entitled individual. This person expects your help, time, and resources as if they are owed to them. You might go out of your way to assist them, offer advice, lend a hand with a difficult task, or even provide tangible support, only to be met with silence, a perfunctory nod, or even criticism. They rarely express gratitude, and when they do, it feels hollow or forced. Worse still, they might even complain that what you offered wasn't enough, wasn't exactly what they wanted, or wasn't done perfectly. For example, you might spend hours helping them sort through boxes, only for them to sigh and say, "Well, it's still a mess." Or you might drive them to an appointment, and they grumble about the route you took. This consistent lack of appreciation can be deeply hurtful. It undermines your desire to be helpful and makes you question your own kindness. It feels like you're pouring water into a bottomless pit, where your efforts are not only taken for granted, but actively devalued. Your generous spirit, which should be a source of joy for you, starts to feel like a burden. The actionable steps involve recognizing that your worth isn't determined by their appreciation, but also understanding when your generosity is being exploited. It's okay to step back when your efforts are consistently met with entitlement. You can gently, but firmly, decline future requests that feel one-sided. You might say, "I'm not able to help with that right now," without offering lengthy explanations. Sometimes, allowing them to experience the natural consequences of their own lack of effort or ungratefulness can be the kindest, albeit hardest, path for both of you. You are not obligated to enable someone's sense of entitlement, especially when it costs you your peace and self-respect. Finally, let's turn our attention to the person who plays on your emotions and good nature to get what they want. The manipulator and guilt tripper. This individual is skilled at emotional blackmail, using subtle cues, tears, or direct accusations to make you feel bad if you don't comply with their wishes. They might say things like, "After all I've done for you, I can't believe you won't help me with this," even if what they've done for you is minimal or long ago. Or they might feign illness, exaggerate a crisis, or play the victim to elicit sympathy and make you feel obligated to step in. You might hear phrases such as, "If you really loved me, you'd," or "I guess I'll just have to manage on my own, even though I'm not well." This type of person is adept at identifying your soft spots, your compassion, your sense of family duty, your desire to avoid conflict, and exploiting them. They create a powerful sense of obligation, making you feel guilty if you set boundaries or say no. You might find yourself agreeing to things you don't want to do, spending money you can't spare, or sacrificing your time for their convenience, all because you've been skillfully maneuvered into a position where declining feels too painful or too disloyal. The insidious nature of this manipulation is that it erodes your autonomy and self-trust. You begin to second-guess your own feelings and needs, prioritizing their manufactured distress over your own well-being. It's a lot to consider, isn't it? But understanding these patterns is the first step to protecting yourself. We have two more crucial types to explore, which can often be the most difficult to deal with because they involve deep personal connections. Continuing our conversation about safeguarding your precious post-60 life, let's talk about perhaps the trickiest categories, often involving our closest family. The sixth type of person you need to be extremely cautious about helping after 60 is the reliant adult, child, or grandchild who refuses to embrace true independence. Now, let's be very clear. This is not about providing temporary support during a genuine crisis or helping a young person get started in life. This is about adult family members who, despite having the capacity, continuously rely on you for financial support, housing, or emotional bandwidth, preventing them from maturing into self-sufficient adults and, critically, preventing you from enjoying your well-earned retirement. They might live at home indefinitely without contributing meaningfully, constantly needing bailouts for their expenses, or relying on you to solve every problem they face. From a flat tire to a career crisis, you might find yourself dipping into your savings, delaying your own dreams, or constantly rearranging your life to accommodate their needs, simply because they haven't learned to stand on their own 2 feet, and you've inadvertently enabled this dependency. The narrative might be, "I just need a little more time," or "Things are so tough out there." But the pattern remains consistent, an unwillingness to take full responsibility for their own lives. This can be heartbreaking, because our natural inclination is to help our loved ones. But true love sometimes means setting boundaries that foster growth, even if it feels difficult in the short term. The actionable steps here are perhaps the hardest but most necessary. It involves setting clear expectations and boundaries for their path to independence. This might mean setting a move-out date, establishing clear contributions if they live with you, or offering support that empowers them, like helping them find job resources or educational opportunities rather than simply writing checks. It might even require seeking family counseling to navigate these challenging conversations. Your savings and your peace of mind are not an endless resource. and they are essential for your own security and happiness in your later years. Enabling perpetual dependency, however well-intentioned, will quietly drain your resources and your joy. Finally, we come to the 7th type of person who can quietly ruin your life after 60, the reckless and impulsive dreamer. This individual is often charismatic, full of grand ideas, and perpetually optimistic about their next big venture. But they lack the discipline, planning, or foresight to see things through to success. They are constantly embarking on ill-conceived schemes. Whether it's a sure-thing business investment, a major life change without a plan, or an elaborate project that quickly spirals into chaos, they will often approach you for help, which typically means your time, your money, your connections, or your emotional support as they navigate the inevitable fallout of their poor decisions. You might be asked to lend money for a startup that has no clear business plan, or to co-sign a loan for a purchase they can't afford, or to invest your precious time and effort into a chaotic project that is doomed from the start. They might call you in the middle of a self-made crisis, needing urgent assistance for something that could have been avoided with proper planning. The danger here is that their impulsivity and lack of responsibility can easily drag you into their financial instability, their emotional dramas, or their never-ending cycles of starting over. Your carefully built stability, your quiet routine, and your well-deserved peace can be shattered by their constant chaos. They don't intend to harm you. They simply don't consider the consequences of their actions on others. Or they assume you will always be there to pick up the pieces. The actionable steps involve guarding your resources, your time, your money, and your emotional energy with a protective hand. Learn to recognize the patterns of instability and politely decline involvement in their schemes. You can express well wishes but draw a clear line. I wish you the best with that, but I'm not able to get involved financially, or I don't have the time to commit to that project. Remember that their poor planning and impulsive nature are not your responsibility to fix. Protecting yourself from their chaos is not being unkind. It's a wise act of self-preservation. It's a lot to take in, isn't it? But the core message here is profound. Protecting your golden years means being profoundly wise about where you invest your precious time, your dwindling energy, and your hard-earned resources. It's about understanding that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's an essential act of self-preservation. It's about valuing your peace, your financial security, and your well-being above the endless demands of others who may not have your best interests at heart, or who are simply incapable of recognizing the value of what you offer. You've worked hard for this chapter of your life, and it's meant to be filled with joy, purpose, and genuine connection, not constant depletion and quiet resentment. Remember, small changes in how you engage with these types of people can make a monumental difference to your health and happiness. By choosing wisely who you help and how you help, you reclaim your power and safeguard your peace. I truly hope this conversation has given you some valuable food for thought, and perhaps even a sense of permission to prioritize your own well-being. Have you encountered any of these situations in your life? What strategies have you found helpful in setting boundaries or protecting your peace? Please share your wisdom and experiences in the comments below. Your insights could genuinely help someone else tremendously who might be struggling with similar situations. If you found this video valuable and it resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more people find this important message. And consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. We're building a wonderful community here, focused on living our very best lives, especially after 60, filled with practical advice and encouraging messages. And I wouldn't want you to miss out on future insights. Your golden years are meant for joy, for pursuing your passions, for enjoying the fruits of your labor, and for cherishing genuine, reciprocal relationships. Embrace your independence, cherish the wisdom you've gained, and live your best life at every age. Until next time, take care and protect your precious peace.